I remember just walking and I was hanging and my head was spinning and all this water's collected in the dip of this hat. So as I'm walking along, it's all like spilling out onto me. And I just remember thinking, what on earth have I done? Hi guys, welcome back. Episode 4 today of The Way It Goes podcast with myself, Dan, and my co-host, Ryan. Today, we're going to be having a bit of a laugh. We had quite a serious episode last one, so we're going to have a little bit of a laugh today and talk about some of our best hangover stories and how, as we get older, drinking is not quite the same.
No, it's not. It's really not. Honestly, when I was like 18, 20s, like I just bounced back.
Yeah, not so much now. No.
Oh God, I feel like I'm in bed 90% of the day, and if I don't eat the right, like, you know, after a night of drinking, and you've just got in your head like, this is the food that I want.
Yeah.
If I don't have that, I'm like, cool, this is the end of the day. This is it. I've charge the day.
Yeah, it's finished. Yeah. Fair enough, yeah. So yeah, we're going to be going into that. We're also going to be talking a little bit about how to make the best of a bad situation, bit of a motivational one, and then we're going to round off today with a dilemma and of course a quote right at the end. So once again, thank you guys for tuning in. We really appreciate the support, whether that be on YouTube, whether that be comments on Instagram, views on TikTok and Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all that good stuff. You know where to find us at twig.podcast. All of your suggestions, please DM us. We really appreciate the support. We really appreciate the suggestions, and let's crack on. So yeah, I think today let's have a little delve into some of the murky pasts of our drinking days. Now, I mean, anyone who knows me will know that I'm not a big drinker at all.
My drinking days aren't over.
Yeah, I'm not a big drinker at all. I never have been, and to be honest, it's not really to do with there's not really any specific reason for it other than that I've always had really sensitive stomach, like really bad stomach problems and stuff like that. I've still got stomach issues ongoing, and like I get sick very easily on drink, and so that's always put me off because it just throws me out for days.
Yeah, you do.
So that's kind of where I am with it as well. And also, like, I've seen people in the past have real big issues with drink, and we preface this with, you've got to be sensible when you're drinking. Like, you're gonna binge when you're young and you're first getting into it, but yeah, do
be sensible and like just because I don't want this to be too serious, but be sensible. If you see someone that looks like they're maybe going a bit too hard when they shouldn't be, just tap them on the shoulder and be like, hey, come on.
Yeah, if you feel like someone's becoming a bit of a habit drinker, a bit of a problem, it's always good to reach out and get the help that you need. But with that out of the way, that disclaimer out of the way, let's chat a little bit about kind of our earlier drinking days, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
So, I mean, where do we start?
Oh God. So, I think the worst one that I can remember is my 21st. I can't remember my 21st. Let me preface it with that. I cannot remember the whole bits and pieces.
Yeah.
I can't remember 90% of the night.
Right.
When I woke up in the morning, and to be completely honest, I can't remember much of the day either. Like the morning after. When I woke up in the morning, I was just laying there and I was like, what has happened? What happened to me last night?
Yeah.
And then I start getting people telling me, oh, you did this and you did, and I'm like, oh no. I do remember, however, one of my, I want to say cousins, propositioning me with a job offer.
While you were drunk?
While I was drunk.
Good start.
As I was coming out the toilets. I've just gone to the toilet, I'm just coming out, and they're like, oh, I've been trying to find you, like, happy birthday, this, that and the other. Yeah. Gave me a bit of money for like my birthday, and then went, yeah, if you're ever thinking about getting in the building game, let me know. I'm like, Yeah.
Not the time.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, sweet.
I'll never forget that because I was just like, yeah. And that was the weirdest part about that, is that's one of the only memories I have of that night.
Really, the important bit stuck with you. Yeah. I do remember. I don't think it wasn't your 21st. I don't think, but I remember being at a party around yours, and someone broke off the handle to your bathroom door. Like it just snapped off in their hands, and I can't remember exactly why that happened, or I think it was when we was in the tents out in the garden.
That handle is on really loose screws.
Yeah.
Because
like
God knows how long that's been in there.
Yeah.
So I'm really not surprised that broke. But another memory just popped in from that night of two of our friends falling through the fence.
Oh yeah.
So the way my garden is we've got like a bit of a patio, and then my dad built fencing for that patio, and they was, as drunk people do, drunk teenagers just having
Stumbling around,
and then
like
they hugged each other.
Yeah.
And lost their balance. One of them lost their balance.
Took the other one down.
And then just took the other one down straight through the fence.
I remember it like clear as day. Do you know what that was like? Over 10 years ago, I'm sure, at this point. And I've literally got it in my head clear as day now. I can see it. I can see it right in front of me. Oh, that's funny.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, I think it depends on like who you are, right? Like I think there are probably some people that we still know who do drink quite heavily, go out quite a lot, and that's kind of like their thing. They like to socialise.
Yeah, I mean, I still do.
Yeah, you still drink quite a bit socially. Yeah. I don't really, but a lot of the time it's because I'm designated driver. Like I'm quite happy to have a couple of drinks here and there. You know, if I'm out or if I'm out for a meal or something sometimes. But in general, I don't kind of like have a big night out anymore. But that's just because my body can't handle it. I've aged like 40 years.
Yeah,
in the
but we've got to do it. We've got to do it someday.
Yeah. Of course.
We've got to have one last hurrah.
Oh, dear, that sounds like the Hangover waiting to happen.
Oh no!
Yeah, that's the last thing you need is like to relive the film.
The Hangover South London edition.
Yeah. Oh dear. Be like some other hood, just with more booze. All of a sudden, Jeremy Corbyn shows up to nurse me when I'm ill, and I'm like, "What is this?
What is going on?"
Yeah, no, I'm not sure about that. But yeah, like I think everyone's got to go through it. Like when you first sort of start going out and all that kind of thing, like you're bound to have a one too many and find your limit.
God,
and all that.
Yeah. I mean, that's how you learn your limit.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I remember when I was 15. Now, let me preface this as I was with adults and I was looked after. It wasn't a case of they're just feeding a 15-year-old alcohol.
Yeah.
And I will never forget, I was drinking Fosters all night, and that's why I can never drink Fosters again.
Oh, yeah.
And I'll never forget where, obviously, my mum's disabled and partially sighted. Mum was like, I need to go to the toilet. Can you help me get up the stairs? I'm trying to help Mum up the stairs. Now, I'm drunk. She's drunk. We've got to the top step. Both of us have tripped on the top step and gone arse over tit, falling on the floor.
Yeah. Actually, can we just pause to talk about New Year's at yours for a second? That wasn't us, right?
Which one?
The New Year's.
Oh,
so me and baby little Ryan. I don't know how old we were at the time. We must have been.
Must have been like
12,
13.
Like obviously you're a year older than me, so I would have been 12, you'd have been 13, something like that anyway. And it was a New Year's party, and we were kind of at that age where we didn't really drink. Obviously, it was too young for us to drink.
A couple of WKDs here.
Yeah, like you might have had a little one or two here and there, but we were too young.
Bacardi Breezer.
Oh, God. Smirnoff Ice.
Oh, no.
Poison. But yeah, like you might have had one, like just because you were there, whatever, but you didn't properly drink because obviously you were too young for that. And we were like sitting playing some video games and all that kind of thing. And I just remember hearing your mum calling out, Mick.
Yeah. And I always feel really guilty because I didn't go out, because you was like, maybe you should check on your mum.
Yeah, I remember saying to you,
because I swear I could have heard shuffling from the front room.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh no, he's getting up, he's heard her.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, projectile vomit all downstairs, and it was all down the stairs.
It
Like,
was all
it got
down
into
the
you had the
stairs.
cat litter box at the bottom of the stairs, and it went in that.
So
from the
just
top.
for some clarity, I used to have carpet on my stairs. Since that day, I've never had carpet on
the
my
carpet-
stairs.
Yeah, finished. Game over for the carpet. Pulled it up. Never to be
I
seen
have
again.
never had carpet.
No,
there since.
yeah, that was So we digress, but yeah, I think my worst experience. Well, I've got probably two that really spring to mind. One of them was we went to someone's 18th, which was in a hall, and I went. And yeah, you know what's coming.
Oh, I remember this party. Yeah,
so
because
I
I
went-
did the same thing.
Yeah, I went there. There's some sort of trials and tribulations amongst the friends. Like there was some girl drama and stuff going on, and we were all a bit in a funny place. So anyway, I remember I went, and the girl that I was with at the time got the ump over something, and we just had a bit of a falling out. And she had with her in her bag a bottle of vodka, like not a massive one, but like a sort of a normal sized bottle of vodka, which she was using to make mixers and whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, I got fed up with the whole night. I was like, this is like, I'm done with this. And at the time, being like literally just turned 18, my solution, well, if I get a bit more drunk, maybe it'll be all right. So I went and I stole this bottle of vodka and spent pretty much the rest of the night over the next 3-4 hours just walking around.
She's going to hear this.
Swig it,
She's going to be
yeah.
like, that's where it went.
That's where it went. Yeah, I see now. And I swig and swig and swig. And my last memory of that night is dropping the empty bottle into the bin. So I've obviously been pouring
Christ
mixers
alive.
Yeah, so I've been pouring mixers for people.
I was gone by that point. I'd left.
Yeah. So I was still there till pretty much the end of the night. And yeah, I was like not just drinking it, I was giving it to people and letting people swig from it and whatever. But obviously, straight vodka it doesn't do you much good.
Drain cleaner.
Yeah, not nice stuff at all. And I definitely wouldn't recommend it to anyone. And yeah, my last memory is dropping the empty bottle in the bin. And my next memory is my friend Rory carrying me to my front door. And my mum looking very disappointed. And then I sat down in the office chair in the kitchen, and she gave me a bucket, and I slept like in the chair, bolt upright with this bucket in front of me, and I would wake up, throw up in the bucket, fall back asleep, wake up, throw up in the bucket, fall back asleep.
That was like my 21st.
Yeah, it was grim. And honestly, like I knew a couple of people who took things too far in those days. Like someone I know actually had to have like the stomach pump situation.
What, at
done.
that party?
Not at that party.
I was going to say. I was like, I didn't think it was that crazy.
No, not that particular party, but like you do have to be really careful with that amount of consumption. But like I say, going out clubbing, your first big nights out and stuff, you've got to experience it.
My 21st, another memory is me falling out of the car, face first onto the gravel.
Yeah.
And just going, help me, I can't get up.
Wasn't it you that someone I know got out that we was on the way to a party, and they got out the car and dropped the phone on the concrete and smashed the phone? I can't remember. I can't remember who that was now. It wasn't you.
No,
I've just got this
smashed the phone at
distinct
a party.
memory of someone smashing their phone, getting out the car, and that was a drunken situation.
I can't remember that one.
Couldn't tell you. The other one that I remember is the party we had round Charlie's, and that night I literally left at like silly o'clock in the morning.
Less said about that night the better.
Yeah. So I left that party. I think a lot of people left quite early on, to be fair, and a few of us crashed out there. I sort of probably got a little bit of sleep in, maybe like an hour or something. But pretty much we all pulled an all-nighter, long story short.
Yeah, essentially.
And I remember, like, I just need to get home now. Like, I'm done with this. So what I had a cowgirl hat on.
You had two of them.
Yeah, so I had a cowgirl hat on with sparkles on that someone had given me throughout the night. And I then found another one which I stacked on top of it. And at this point, it's like 5-6 o'clock in the morning. So, birds it's the middle of summer, birds are chirping, the sun's out. And I was like dry heaving, like I was so ill. And I was like, I need to get home. So I was like, obviously, I think we must have only been 18 or whatever. So I was like, right.
Yeah, I think I was 19.
Yeah, so I was like, I didn't want to call a cab and make a big fuss about it. I was like, I'm just going to walk. It was like maybe half-hour walk from home.
Yeah.
So I was like, let's just walk it. And yeah,
It was bucking it down.
it was pouring with rain.
Pouring
It was
down.
pouring with rain, and I was like, whatever, I'm going. I thought this will be all right. So I left, and I was just wearing like my smart shirt from the night before, which was saturated within like a few minutes walking, and these two cowgirl hats stacked on top of each other. At this point, I'm walking past like the local station, and all of the commuters that are going into London in the morning, they're
This
walking
was like
past.
a Wednesday as well.
Yeah, this was like in the middle of the week or something. Obviously, we were in like the sixth form college, whatever, and that was kind of what we were doing.
Oh, fun
and yeah,
times.
they were all commuting in, and I remember just walking, and I was hanging, and my head was spinning, and all this water's collected in the dip of this hat. so like as I'm walking along, it's all like spilling out onto and I just remember thinking, what on earth have I done? Yeah, needless to say, after those two events, I never touched vodka again. Even the smell now.
No, that's like me and Strongbow. Old school parties. I would go to the corner shop. This was when I like fresh turned 18. Go to the corner shop, buy a like 2 litre bottle of Strongbow,
Yeah.
and that would be me for the party set.
Oh yeah.
And I can't drink
White
Strongbow
Ace.
anymore. I mean, I was a little bit particular. I did not touch White Ace.
No, me either. Ever,
But-
thankfully.
2 litre bottle of Strongbow, and that had sort me out for the party. And now I can't touch Strongbow because every time I drink it, it just makes me want to heave.
Yeah.
Like, I remember the first time I went out and drank Strongbow, and it was, I went to a park.
Yeah. That's
It was
typical.
them
Yeah,
t-
we
them
used
sort of
We used to
times.
put all nighters in parks and stuff like that.
And I went to a park, and I think, you just get sort of lost in the moment, and you just sip.
Yeah, you're just chatting away, doing whatever.
When I got home, thankfully I wasn't ill, but when I got home, I was like, oh, whoa.
Yeah.
Like, I've had
that's the, do you know what, that's the when you lay down in bed and the whole room starts to spin.
Oh my
that's
God,
the
yeah.
worst bit.
Nah. I remember getting home, and I don't remember falling asleep.
Yeah.
But mind you, I have slept since then, so
Yeah.
it could just be that.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, I hate that feeling of like closing your eyes and then the whole room starts spinning, and then you're just sort of laying there, and you're like, oh, what have I done?
Yeah. Oh,
Why did I do this?
yeah. That's the worst, isn't it?
Like,
In the moment, it's great, but it's so much regret afterwards.
I have started as a hangover cure, pint of water before I go to bed.
Oh, that is a miracle.
Pint of water before I go to bed.
Changes the game.
I wake up the next morning. I might be a little bit like, oh,
Yeah,
But
but it does help so
nowhere
much.
near
It
as,
stops
like-
the dehydration, stops the headache.
100%. I'm nowhere near as like, oh my God, like my head
Yeah.
pounding.
That's another thing I always remember from like the early house party days is, when someone gets really drunk and everyone's trying to feed them like a duck, like, eat some bread, it will soak it up.
Oh God, you just got that one.
They're just on the floor
Oh
like,
God,
man.
that's just like brought a memory back. I remember I was at a house party, and this was like years and years ago, and one of the guys turned up late
Right, yeah.
and just proceeded to down a whole pack of test tube vodka shots.
Oh, they were the worst.
A whole pack. Within 5 minutes after that, he was sat in the garden with a bucket.
Yeah, I bet, yeah.
And I'll never forget. And I'll say a politer version. He's like head in the bucket, and someone goes, "Should we tip the bucket on his head?"
Oh,
And all you can hear from inside the bucket is, "Go away."
yeah. Oh, don't. That's the worst. Like as well. I mean, it's good obviously if you're surrounded with people that. I think
Yeah.
that's a key thing as well. Is that I feel like I was always lucky in that if I got myself into that state, I was always surrounded by people who would be really helpful and accommodating to that and like actually look after me. Whereas you do get some people who just find it funny to, prank their mates to.
Yeah.
It's funny to a point. Like, I mean, like we've had situations where at my house party we had one guy in the bath and we covered him in silly string. Like,
Yeah, but silly stuff like that's fine.
yeah, exactly. Like,
Silly stuff like
that's a
that's
funny
fine.
prank,
And don't
but-
get me wrong, like the guy who said we didn't do it, obviously.
Yeah.
But it was just funny to get the reaction.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. But there are those people out there that will be like, that evil.
That's messed up.
Yeah,
That's messed
I
up.
think there's a hard limit. Like if that's actually
like,
your friend,
silly string on someone,
Yeah,
that's
it's fine.
funny. You know, like even like a cake to the face.
it's very
That's
specific.
Oh no, I just pictured the cake at your birthday.
Oh no, it wasn't it was Kev's birthday.
It was Kev's birthday.
Yeah, I'm almost certain it was my stepdad's birthday. And it was him and Brett.
Yes.
And I've got a video somewhere of them literally just taking bites out of this chocolate cake.
I just remember Brett having so much
All
cake
over his face. Yeah.
Oh, that.
Yeah, I mean, we were very lucky. So basically, like, we had a situation where, I mean, I had a house party when my mum went away, right? Which I wasn't meant to have. And it's quite a funny story because we got in touch with your mum and said, like, oh, we're thinking of having this party.
No, it wasn't even that.
Yeah.
I turned up to the parties. My parents dropped me off.
Oh, that was it. Yeah, you're right.
And then Mum's pulled you in and gone, does your mum know about this?
No.
He was like, no.
Bear in mind, they're like best friends.
She was like, okay. Anything happens, give me a call. It's fine.
Yeah, she was sweet about it, and so we did have this party, and in fairness, it kind of worked out because I had a really bad chest infection at the time, and I was on really like extreme antibiotics, so I was like, I'm not going to drink. So everyone else started drinking, and I was kind of like sensible, hat on, make sure the house stays clean and whatever. And in the morning, we went to the nth degree to make sure that it was spotless. Like I took pictures of where things were in the house to make sure.
I didn't know you did that.
Yeah,
oh
to
my
make
god!
Sure that like all the ornaments went back where they were supposed to, like really went to the extremes. And we were obviously like a little bit underage as well, which wasn't ideal.
Well, yeah.
And we literally just did it so that we could all hang out basically.
Yeah.
And I invited a few people around, and yeah, the long story short is in the morning we all grouped together, we all cleaned up, it was absolutely spotless, and we even took all of the empties, like all the empty bottles and all the empty cans and all that, we took them up to Rory's house at the top of the road and put them in his recycling, so that they weren't in my recycling bins. That's the level of detail we went to. It's like planning a heist.
That's a genius idea.
It was. My genius is unparalleled. So it basically...
Yeah, it says the taped mirror up there.
Gloss over it. So, we went to all these extremes to make sure that it was perfect and that she would never find out. And it was like this perfect genius.
Came back, immediately guessed.
No, that's not what happened. What actually happened was... my friend Brett.
Oh, he slipped up, didn't he? No, I remember. Yeah, go on. I remember. Yeah.
So my friend Brett actually had my mum on Facebook, and he posted a picture of like 4 people in a conga line in my kitchen with all of the surfaces behind him covered in bottles of drink. And she phoned me up, and this was the next day, and we were literally sitting chilling playing Xbox, like a couple of us, and she phoned me up and she's like, did you have a good time last night? I was like, yeah, not too bad. She was like, do you have anyone over? I said, yeah, 1 or 2 friends, yeah. And she was like, oh, was Brett there, was he? And I was thinking, that's a bit of a random question to ask.
Bit specific,
yeah. And anyway, she was like, yeah, do you want to check Brett's Facebook? And so I checked, and literally my heart, literally my heart came out onto the floor. And I was like, I'm going to get the bollocking of a lifetime here. And she was a little bit mad, but she didn't really say anything over the phone. She was like, I'll deal with this when I get home.
You have been caught, and for you, the chase is over.
Yeah, I thought I'm in big time trouble here. I'm done. But anyway, she came home, and she was always really good at having my friends round and stuff. I always had people round and all that kind of thing. And she come home, and she sort of spoke to me about it, and I explained to her that we'd spoken to your mum about it as well.
Yeah.
And obviously, she looked around the house. She saw that it was pretty much as good as it was when she left, if not a bit cleaner, because we'd gone to the effort of like mopping everything and all the rest of it.
Cue house parties for the next
10 years or so. No, it wasn't quite that extreme, but yeah, literally, like after that, and she said to me, you shouldn't be lying to me, like, and I was like, look, hands up, fair enough, like, you caught me, I shouldn't have done it, but I was sensible, I'm really sorry, and much to my surprise, she was like, no, you've been really sensible, you've told an adult that you was doing it, you've cleaned up after yourselves, you didn't let anything get ruined.
I think she kind of knew my mum. Yeah, she knows my mum well enough to know that. Yeah, exactly. If anything happened, we'd
exactly
sort
that, and she knows that I'm sensible as well. Like, she knew that I wasn't gonna do anything that was like really like dumb. So yeah, at that point she was like, well, when do you want the next party? And literally cue the next few years of my house being the hub of all of us meeting up, and how we had Halloween dress up, fancy dress parties. We went down to Asda once, like all dressed up in these crazy costumes, and nearly got kicked out because they were like, "What the hell's going on here?" You know, we had all sorts of stuff. We had like when we all finished our exams, we had like a big bash then. And yeah, it was always good fun. It was like we said before, it's like it was a really good place for us to all hang out.
Yeah.
But yeah, the amount, I remember one day, one party we had. I remember Ryan being sick in the toilet. Not you, the other Ryan. And he'd been on like dark fruits all night, and he was like throwing up. It was all like the colour of it. Oh god, yeah. Like we had some messy times, but
I remember him laying in the road.
Bottle of JD. Oh yes.
Right, you got to come in.
Yeah.
No.
And my next door neighbour hanging out the window, we're trying to sleep, and they were always good. To be fair, they were always like, we told them we were having a party, and we were sensible about it, and we packed it in at a decent time and the rest of it, and we'd only ever do it at the weekends so that we knew that the kids weren't at school. But yeah, that particular night she was a bit fed up because we were all out in the road and making us
trying to get Ryan's come back in.
Yeah. Like,
sorry, Ryan, to throw you under the bus.
yeah, like we had some really, really fun times, but like looking back at that now, I can't, like, I'm happy for us to go out and have a laugh and stuff, but to think of that happening in my own space, and to be cleaning up the next day, and to not be able to have the freedom to do what I want, and to like, oh god,
I could do it.
Could you? You think?
I could do it.
Yeah.
But then, like, I come from a long line of party people.
Yeah, true.
My mum's
and you always have New Year's bash at yours.
My granddad's been a party guy.
Yeah,
like,
true.
we love to put on a good time and a good party.
Yeah.
New Year's every year. Well,
nearly every year.
Yeah. Parties.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Getting people around, getting family around, and just having a good time.
Yeah.
I never forget the first one where we did a conga line up the entire street.
Oh, I remember that. That was wicked.
That was so much fun.
Yeah, because you live in a cul-de-sac as well, so it's like we're just looping around the cul-de-sac with this massive conga line. It was like playing Snake in the end.
It literally was. Yeah. And like, honestly, I love having a party.
Yeah.
Obviously within reason.
Yeah, of course.
But I love having a party. I love having a good time.
Yeah, but I think the trouble is for us now is we're getting on a little bit. Like,
speak for yourself.
Oh, get over. You're older than me. Get over it. So anyway, I think for me now it's I mean, like I said, I don't deal with drink at the best of times. Like I don't deal well with hangovers. My stomach's really sensitive. For me now, like. And I'm sure a lot of people who are like approaching 30 who used to drink quite a bit when they were like in their late teens or, you know, early 20s, I think like a lot of people don't, I get that, but I think a lot of people hit their limit and is like, cool, I'm kind of done with that now.
I would say, in my completely unexpert opinion, that there's a divide, that there are some people that go, I've had my fun. And I generally think those are the people that are settling down. Yeah. Well, I've had my fun. That's me. I'm up for like a couple of drinks here and there, and then that's it.
Yeah.
Whereas for me, I would say I'm kind of a party guy.
Yeah, a little bit looser.
Like, I go to a lot of, you know, gigs and stuff like that. So obviously at the gig, I'm going to have a couple of drinks here and there. Yeah. So I enjoy that because I know my limits. I know when to stop. Yeah. For myself.
Yeah. Which is something you learn in time as well.
Oh yeah, that takes time. You don't start off knowing your limits. 18, no, not at all. And it's important, like, to have those times where you're absolutely paralytic in a safe space.
Yeah. Not just out.
Yeah. With friends, with family, in a safe space.
Yeah. And also, just on that as well, I think we're very lucky because we're guys. Like, girls in that situation are a lot more vulnerable as well. Like, they've got to be even more careful because of you know what goes on out there at the clubs and stuff like that.
I would agree. I would say it's one of those things where, you know, like, everyone's got to be careful. It's just, you know, if you see something that looks funny, make sure you're pointing it out to the right people.
100%. What is good though is they've started giving out the drinks covers at a lot of venues.
That I think,
which I think is really good, because I actually know quite a few girls who have been spiked in bars and clubs and stuff, which is awful, absolutely awful. And it makes you fearful to go and have a good time. Like, you can't loosen up if you're constantly on edge.
I mean, that, like I was saying to you about when I went out the other night,
Yeah.
and I just felt like I was kind of on edge because I'm trying to watch my friends, and there's some guys in there, and I want to try and be as polite as possible because they may have been harmless, but to me, that were giving off the vibe of a little bit dodgy.
Yeah, just something off.
Something not right. And I find that sometimes it shows. Sometimes when I'm watching a gig and there'll just be something going on and I just don't feel right about it. And it's stuff like that you've... I feel like as a guy, to me personally, it may not be to everyone, so that's fair enough, but to me, it's very important to call that out when you see it.
Yes.
If you see something that isn't right,
so important.
Straight away, that's not right. I'm getting the people that can deal
Help
with this.
with that,
Security, whoever it may be, or whatever it may be. Like, it's important to call that out.
Yeah.
And another thing that's really important, and I know this is slightly off topic and a little bit more serious than what we was talking about previously, but if your friend says something weird, call that out.
Yeah.
They may not have meant it.
Yeah.
Call that out.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
I think it's really important that you hold your friends accountable as well as holding yourself accountable and other people accountable.
So true. Yeah. No, I really agree with that. I feel so strongly about, people being in positions that they're uncomfortable with and not being able to do anything about it. If I see, it's quite often, unfortunately, a guy making a move on a girl or whatever it might be, and if I see something like that I can see that person's uncomfortable, that really doesn't sit well with me at all. And I don't know whether that's just me, my personal experience.
Sadly, that's an experience I feel like both of us have had.
Yeah, for various reasons.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think, like you say, it's important to call people out on that. And
100%.
Just because someone's drunk doesn't mean they can act like an arse. Like,
oh yeah, God, yeah.
Everyone goes through that.
I think another thing that's very important is, even if you're drunk, if you do something crappy to someone, remember to apologise.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Remember to apologise, because it's okay in the moment. You're not with it. You're not you. I guess you're like a heightened version, or like a
extra emotional, extra aggressive. There's
But it's always important if you're told, by the way, you did this. Oh my God, who, what, when? Who do I need to apologise to? Because it's just really important. Like I was saying, to hold others accountable, but not only hold others accountable, hold yourself accountable as well. Yeah. If you do something bad, just say sorry.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that.
Yeah. Or even the morning after, if it's that bad, it's like you can't remember it.
Oh yeah, no, you don't have to say sorry there
in the moment.
Yeah. Just as long as you apologise.
Yeah.
Whether
true.
that person decides to forgive you or not is up to them. But you should always do right by that person by apologising.
And the thing is, everyone's going to find their limit. Everyone's going to experiment with this stuff when they're young.
Yeah.
For me, I'm kind of done with it now. Like, I do enjoy having a drink out with my mates and catching up and stuff like that, but I think the whole club vibe makes me a bit anxious now. I don't know why.
I can't.
Something about it, but whatever happened, whatever antics we got up to, we always ended up grouping together in the morning, cleaning up, having a laugh.
Yeah.
We'd probably walk. We didn't drive. None of us drove at the time, or we'd be too hungover to drive. So we'd walk to the local McDonald's, grab some breakfast.
This was before the time of the Uber Eats.
This was before
Just Eat, home delivery.
Nobody said Just Eat at this time.
You had to suffer for your McDonald's breakfast.
Yeah, exactly.
You had to march to that McDonald's. You had to walk in. You had to look someone in the eye and be like, "I've had a very bad evening.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. Please give me every hash brown in the building.
Help me."
Yeah. And we made the best of it. We made the best of that situation.
Of course.
And that kind of segues into the next thing we want to chat about today, which is making the best of a bad situation. I think this is something that is really, really important, and we have touched on this in previous episodes, but I feel like it's something that I've learned over the years, is that you really have to, and I think you're excellent at this. This is, I think, one of your big strengths.
Thanks.
is like anything bad that happens. I think you can you can try and make light of it yourself to make yourself feel better. It doesn't mean that you can always joke about it. You know, if it's something really serious that's affected you in a great way, then you might not want to talk about it, and that's fair enough. But I think there's certain things that you can do in any situation to just see the silver linings and see what's push through it.
For me personally, I'm very much a pick yourself up, dust yourself off, let's continue kind of person, just purely because I think you kind of get to a point when, like, especially when I was younger and watching my mum go through all the hospital, everything like that, and seeing how resilient she was. Thank God for her, because like if she wasn't the way she was and she didn't teach me the resiliency that I needed to grow up, in a sense, I don't think I'd be as resilient as I am now.
Yeah.
I don't think I'd be as like, cool, let's carry on. It is what it is.
See that
That's
massively.
the way it goes. Every episode, I swear, every episode, sorry, off topic, but every episode.
We fit that in somewhere.
But yeah, no, I think the resiliency that my mum showed me, and the fact that whenever I used to get, and this is a little bit serious, so I'll try to keep it as tight as possible because I don't want it to be too serious, but every time I used to visit my mum in the hospital when she was in there, she always used to look me in the eye and be like, it's okay, I'm getting better.
Yeah.
I will get better.
Yeah.
And obviously as I grew up and we talked more about it, and she talked more about it to me in the sense of like she could actually tell me what she was thinking.
Yeah.
Now that I'm older and I understand it more, the fact that she was able to go to me and go, the reason that I, just for some context, the doctors basically told my mum that she wouldn't walk out of hospital.
Yeah.
She'd be in a wheelchair for the rest of her life. And she told the doctors, F off, no, I'm walking out of this hospital.
And she did. Yeah.
And I always have to thank my mum for the fact that now, as a man diagnosed with MS, I'm still standing, I'm still doing everything that I love, more so than I was previous.
Yeah. And you could mope and you could sit at home and you could say I'm too unwell to work, or
but there's no point.
No.
There's no point. I refuse to be one of those people that they go, this is what has negatively affected this person because of the condition that they have.
Yeah.
I refuse. I reject it, refuse it. I want to be someone that loves. No, I'm not going to say it, because the first thing that popped into my head was someone that lives, laughs and loves.
No.
No, someone that loves, someone that someone that does, that's better, what they want.
Yeah.
And positively impacts others. My whole goal, like with the podcast and in life in general, is to positively impact others.
Yeah.
Help people where I can. I'm a huge person that if I see someone that's going through a rough time, I want to do everything that I can to help them. And, be there for them when they need me. Because that's the type of person I was brought up to be. That's the type of person that that's the type of people, that my family are. I can't count how many times we've had people come round and sit and talk to us about problems and try to work through their problems with them. Like, my house is like a little free therapy session. And the amount of times that we've sat with my friends and just talked them through problems that they're having, that, to me, is how I in my opinion, I guess, would view helping someone make the best out of a bad situation.
Yeah.
That's
just... I'm a strong believer in good fortune favours good people.
Yeah.
And I think that the more resilience you show and the more energy you put into helping other people, I think the more that favours you as well.
More passion, more energy.
I mean, I think a good example of that is like, I always remember like when I was growing up, like when it was like just my mum for like quite a long period of time. Like we didn't have anything. Like we had a roof over our heads, and I was very grateful for that. But she really struggled to make ends meet as a single mum, and she could only work part time because she was looking after me and various different things. And obviously, there's also the fact that there are some industries where the wages aren't particularly great. She was incredibly good in her career, but just didn't pull in much money at that time. And I remember that, you know, one day, and I'm sure she won't mind me talking about this, she asked me to go down to the shop and get some bread because I needed to make some toast for breakfast. We had a little local shop down the road, and she said, "Oh, get some money out of my purse." And I went into her purse, and she basically just had shrapnel in there. It was all 1p's, 2p's, 5p's. And I remember she got really upset because she was like, "You know, I feel like I'm failing. I'm not providing for you." And you know, that's always stuck with me because I felt bad because I couldn't do anything in that moment. And that she always says to me, you know, that's not your job, that was my job to do. But she did. She got up and she made it work.
Oh yeah,
and
gotcha.
And she made the best of everything. You know, we always had people around having a laugh. Like even if we couldn't afford a takeaway or we couldn't afford to go to, you know, I never went abroad as a kid. I never went on holidays or to like zoos or you know, I've never been to Disneyland. Like all these different things like I haven't experienced, and that's not anyone's fault. It's just the situation at the time. But we made the best of it, and she made sure that no matter what situation I was in, that I always had a fun time. I was always with friends. I was always laughing, joking. And I look at those memories fondly. It doesn't matter that I didn't have everything that those other kids had. You know, we fast forward to now, and good fortune has favoured the good people. And, you know, this property we're sitting in here belongs to my mum. She owns this outright, and she's built a business and so on and so forth. And that's, you know, not a relatively short space of time.
Just back on what you were saying about when you lived at the old place. When my mum went into hospital, you took me in.
Yeah.
And I will always be thankful that you took me in, because there was like, I had nowhere to go.
Yeah, and there were questions about what was going to happen. You know, we didn't know.
Yeah, we had no idea what was going to happen. And like, I will always be thankful to you and your mum for taking me in, even when practically it probably wasn't the right thing to do for you.
Yeah,
like I've always got to be thankful for you guys, because like, and I think that's probably what's made us like strengthened our friendship.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Like we have been through thick and thin together.
We really have,
like,
and we're very fortunate now that not only do we do stuff like this together and we speak socially all the time, but we also work together and have done in various capacities for years.
Oh, we've always had a great time.
We've always made a laugh out of it. And again, that comes back to making the best of things. Like even when we have a tough day at work, or even, you know, when we parted ways with our previous jobs and we didn't know what the future was going to hold, like we still had a laugh about it.
Yeah.
And that sometimes can be what it takes. Like I think we're both good at that, and I think you know, we had some comments about this when we talked about it before that said like you can't always joke about bad situations because it might upset people. And yeah, I 100% agree with that, and it obviously depends on your own personality and your circumstances. That's absolutely fair enough. But me and you, I think, are quite self-deprecating in that we can take the mick out of ourselves.
I like to think I've got a comedian's sense of humour.
Yeah, like you can poke fun at your own situation and other situations. And it's not to offend or not to make light of what is a serious situation, but it's just a coping mechanism. It's just a way of getting through it and to be able to process it in your own way. And I think that's. I mean, definitely, I would say for me, I would probably say strongly for you as well.
Yeah. By no way, by the way, am I saying that I am a comedian. No. But I think that is kind of the it encompasses what we mean by the self-deprecating humour and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I think that is kind of like a comedian's sense of humour.
For us, that's what gets through.
Yeah, it's very like we have a very if you don't laugh you'll cry attitude.
Yeah.
These things, I like, especially for me, like when my mum came out of hospital. Now my mum's partially sighted. I think I've mentioned it in the last episode. My mum's partially sighted. She can't really see. And she come out and she said to me, it was, wow, I can't remember the title of the song, but it's a song that goes, I can see clearly now the rain's gone. Come on, when we got in the car. And she went, oh, this is my new favourite song.
She cracks jokes like that all the time, yeah.
And it was just that I was just sat there and I was just absolutely bawling with laughter.
Yeah. And to be honest, some people don't get that humour. Like, some people don't know whether it's offensive to laugh at that.
Yeah.
But obviously I know you guys, like, you love people to laugh along with it, because, that's how you make yourself feel better about that situation.
I like making people laugh at me.
Yeah.
Like, and it's okay. Like, I've got a thick skin.
Yeah,
I can
take it on the chin, yeah.
It is... I guess it is kind of a coping mechanism.
Yeah.
I guess it is kind of a coping mechanism. That. Yeah. It's kind of a coping mechanism. Oh my God, I've done it again.
Right, it's a coping mechanism.
It's a coping mechanism. There we go. I guess it is kind of a coping mechanism, but I guess I don't see it that way. I just see it as funny.
Yeah, true, yeah.
I like making people laugh.
Yeah.
Like I mentioned it in the last episode, I like looking after people. Or I might have mentioned it in this episode. This is all blurring into one. What's happening? But I like making people laugh. I like making people happy. I like making people smile. I like to think of myself as maybe the little bit of the joker of the group.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And I try and just make things funny,
make light of it. Yeah,
and don't get me wrong, it doesn't always land.
No, but sometimes that's the boost that people need.
Yeah.
And I think at the end of the day, like, you've got to look at these things as one door has to close for another to open. Like, you can go through some really dark stuff, but that means that there are opportunities coming. And if you stay true to yourself and make sure that you're your authentic self, I think then you can really open some new doors. And
I think it's true. One door closes, another door opens. It really does. Because like, my mum got ill. That door shut. That chapter ended. We got a house.
Yeah.
And that's not to say that was the aim. Obviously, we didn't want mum to get ill for a house. But,
but
thankfully,
that provided
out of
you
that,
stability.
Exactly. Provided us with somewhere to live.
A silver lining.
Because, I've lived in flats all of my life.
Yeah.
Never thought that I would live in a house. And I think that is, for a lot of people these days, the kind of mentality of, we're going to get a flat, not a house.
Yeah.
When people dream for a house. And like, I feel for those people, because like, they effectively, the world is kind of against them.
Yeah. Once you get stuck in that.
But there are ways out of that, and I think what a lot of people do now is they will save where they can. They will do what they need to do, like start small businesses, stuff like that, and they really show tenacity in making the best out of a bad situation. Like what we're talking about is as simple as that. They really show that they are much stronger than the situation that they've been placed into, and I think that really gives me hope for the world, I guess, in a sense. There's a lot of bad stuff happening, but there is always, you can always see the light somewhere, in the sense of someone would do something that's just faith in humanity restored. You know what I mean? Yeah,
that's always nice. I think a good place to round that off.
Yeah.
So, should we have a dilemma?
Oh!
Go on in.
Come on.
Go on, treat yourself.
Treat myself to a dilemma.
Okay, so this segment, we talk about kind of dilemmas that we've been either submitted or that we found online. This one is a bit of an interesting debate, actually.
Okay.
So I found this one on Reddit, but I think a lot of people will probably relate to it in some way, shape or form.
So to preface this, I've not heard this dilemma. I don't know anything about this dilemma.
Yeah, so this is going to be Ryan's hot take on this, and then I'll chip in. So
spicy.
The title is it more ethical for someone with poor mental health to stay away from relationships?
Oh.
So I'll just give the background of this particular person's situation. So it was a female. She said, my boyfriend of 4 years dumped me because I was depressed. He felt like he tried everything to help and he felt frustrated and tired. I think he really loved me, but I think he just stopped in the end because he ended up feeling like my carer. I've struggled with depression for a very long time, I would say around 10 years. I've been lucky in life to have had long relationships with very loving and good people, but the reason that they all fell apart one way or another is unrelated issues because of my bad mental health. I'm currently only 30, but I've been thinking that it might be better to stay away from relationships because I eventually make my partner unhappy. With or without treatment, the depression seems to find its way back, maybe for a short time or maybe for a longer time. I don't really have any guarantees on that. I've learned to manage it myself and I can cope okay, but I know that it can be a big strain on someone else. Is it the right thing to do to give up on love and, I suppose, protect other people from my pain?
I don't, personally, off the bat, I don't think you should give up on love.
I 100% agree with that, yeah.
Because, yeah, these relationships might not have worked out, but if you find someone that truly cares for you and truly loves you, they will stick through it through thick and thin.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how you're feeling or how you're coping with mental health conditions, stuff like that. If you are loved by the person that you're with, truly loved, they will stick around. They will go through anything with you. 100%. And like, yeah, I don't think she should give up on love. Mental health is a hard battle to fight. And like she said, sometimes you don't always win. Some days are worse than others. Some days you're, top of the mountain. Some days you're swimming at the bottom of the ocean. But the fact of the matter is the people that are around you shape whether that lasts a week or a lifetime.
Potentially, yeah.
And that's just my opinion. That's just how like people have helped me when I've been in rough patches. If I'm around the right people, if the right people are talking to me, my mood, although be it still not great, is improved. Is better, and I feel like I don't struggle for as long. So I personally think that, and it sounds really cheesy, just not found the right person yet.
Yeah, potentially, yeah. So my take on this is that I think in this particular person's scenario, they come from a place of empathy. So they're obviously a very empathetic person.
Yes, yeah.
They're also very self-aware. There are people that are in this situation, that are going to be in this situation, maybe people that are listening, who are potentially in a very, very similar state of mind, but aren't self-aware enough to realise that this is what's going on.
Yeah.
They might just go into a self-destruct mode and all that kind of thing because that's the way of dealing with it.
Yeah.
I think that's quite common. I think it's quite common for people to, their way of dealing with their own battles is to push people away because they don't want to hurt those other people. And this is kind of resonating with that. And everyone's going to deal with things differently, right? I completely understand that everyone's going to have a different view on how they can improve their own mental health and what they should do. But I do 100% agree that if you're with the right person, then it doesn't necessarily matter. I think it's quite easy in this situation to be self-destructive and to say, well, that person doesn't love me anymore because I've been so awful to them, or because I've been through a really bad battle and I don't want to harm them anymore. But in doing that and going through that thought process, you are distancing yourself from that person as well, and you are pushing them away.
Oh God, yeah.
And so if they then start to back away, that's not helping you either, because
it just naturally ends at that point.
Yeah, and that can probably make you feel guilty as well, because you're thinking, well, that's now still my fault because I could have just accepted that love and that companionship and that care, and actually maybe this would have helped me get through it. But at the same time, there are some people who they don't really gel with that and they're more independent. There's so many different scenarios that could fall under this, but for me personally, in this situation, I understand how she feels. I understand that it can be very difficult to be in a relationship when you're struggling. I've been there, you know, and I treated my girlfriend at the time very badly when I was really depressed. And I'm not proud of that. I'm not proud of the things that I did during that time.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it happened, and she, up to a point, stuck with me, and then she left. And that was fair enough. And this was years and years ago now. This was like when I was getting my first big job and stuff like that. And that was totally fair enough. And I learned a lot from that. And so I'm grateful for the process. And my view on it is that if I had just left, then I probably would have just spiraled. I probably would have just been sitting at home miserable, not having any company, and not reaching out to my friends, and then you kind of get lost in the ether. And so I'm very grateful that that person stuck by me, even though it was eventually probably to their detriment. But long term, it's worked out for that person and for me. So it kind of is what it is, right? But yeah, that's kind of my stance on it, is that I feel like it's easy to say, I'm going to do the right thing, I'm going to step back, I'm not going to let people get hurt by me. But then when are you going to get better? And when are you actually going to allow people to come in?
Not only that, by saying, you know, I don't want to hurt someone, you are.
True.
In another perspective, obviously, you're not meaning to, you're still not meaning to, and that's not to say that you're hurting them on purpose. But it will hurt them. That's kind of a byproduct of that. Like an unfortunate byproduct.
Yeah.
Because I think the second you start distancing yourself from someone, they can feel that.
Yeah. 100%.
And if the person, I think if you start having those doubts about someone, it, in my honest opinion, is best to break it off. Because you, and this is again just my opinion, if you should never have doubts.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
If you have doubts, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
That's not to say that it will never work.
Just in this current circumstance.
In the current circumstance, it won't work.
Yeah.
More so to do with this specific topic, it won't work. Just purely because, oh God, I've knocked the mic again. Just purely because you're already mentally checked out at that point.
Yeah, and at that point it's quite easy, I suppose, to distance yourself even further, and then that person then feels that, and then it becomes quite hostile.
You're doing the right thing.
Yeah, you think you're doing the right thing, but in actual fact, you could probably benefit a lot more if you were to just open up and allow that person in.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing that I could give as advice from someone who, I wouldn't say experienced this, but does have those feelings sometimes, it is to trust your gut, trust your judgment, and if the person wants to be there for you, if the person wants to help you, they will.
Yeah.
If they don't, and if they show their true colours in terms of walking away, leaving, you know, not giving you the respect that you deserve in terms of when you're feeling not great, if you're feeling down, if you're not feeling yourself, in terms of giving you the respect of, okay, I get that you're not feeling okay, but what can I do to help? Would you like to talk about it? Would you just like to sit in silence?
Yeah.
Because I think when a lot of people think, let me help this person, it's let's talk about good things, let's talk about this. Sometimes you just want to sit in silence.
You just want to coexist and just have that person there just in case you need them. Yeah, I agree.
And I don't know, for me especially, I'm a hugger. I like a good hug.
Oh, yeah,
if I'm feeling crap, a good hug, and I'm like,
oh yeah,
I'm by no means does it make me better, but it does make me go.
It's a comfort thing, isn't it? Yeah.
It kind of lets you expel some. Yeah.
Some
stress.
100%. Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's quite easy to. I think she's coming from a place of loving other people as well. You know, she doesn't want to hurt.
It's definitely
anyone.
a caring.
Yeah, she doesn't want to hurt anyone,
yeah.
and that is sweet. But also, if you carry on that way, it's going to be to your own detriment eventually.
You need to let people help.
Yeah, and there's probably also an element of you don't want the person that you really care about to start hating you, and that's a constant paranoia. But Yeah, I think the long and short of it is, I understand the situation. In fact, I've been on both sides of it.
Yeah, definitely.
And I get it, but you need to kind of take a step back and think of it from a perspective of, if you feel like you want love and you want a companion, then the right person will show up for you.
Yeah, it is a tricky topic to navigate.
Yeah, 100%.
And again,
Everyone's going to be different.
As a bit of a disclaimer, by no means are we experts on this field.
Not
by
one
no
bit.
means are we telling you that you should take the advice that we give.
No.
This is just purely our opinions from our experiences.
Yeah.
From our experiences in topics like this, from our experiences in mental health. Effectively, that is this whole podcast.
Yeah.
Essentially, it's just our opinions. We're not experts. But I really just wanted to make that disclaimer very quickly, because I know, especially in the realm of social media, a lot of people will listen to a podcast or listen to what they see and go, that's what I should do. I'm not telling you should do that. Do what is right for you, not what is right for someone else.
Yeah.
You know, live with your own mind.
Yeah. That's it. And that's a good time to round it off with a quote, I think.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, that's a bit of a hot take on that particular situation. I think probably more common than people might think. A lot of people are more open about mental health now, which is great. Something that I would always encourage is to seek help where you need to, and to be open with your partner about the things that you need as well. So that's something that is, a really important topic of discussion.
Communication is key.
100%. I'm a big communication guy. So let's have a little nose at the quotes section. So on the basically on the topic that we were just discussing, I'm going to follow on with this quote. You don't need a break from life. You just need a break from people.
Oh, yeah. God, yeah. We work in retail, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we've always, well, not always, we've mostly worked in retail. And God, do you need a break from people when you get home?
That's true. I mean, I suppose it's
from a different sort of
because it's just talking all day, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just talking all day, and that brings it, like, resonates with me, because in terms of like I said a couple of episodes ago, I'm like that fine balance between introvert and extrovert.
Yeah.
And sometimes my social battery is just nothing.
I was literally just about to say social battery, yeah.
Sometimes my social battery is just nothing.
Yeah.
And I just want to go home. I want to sit or lay in my bed, and I just want to put my headphones in and listen to music and just chill and not think about anything.
I think so many people can agree with that.
That's like, yeah. And it's not even like a I'm feeling sad thing. It's like
just you need the break.
I just need a break from reality entirely.
Yeah. And I think this is why I like this quote, is because it's not about like, oh, like life is stressing me out and da da da. Like, it's more about, you just need time to sit with your own thoughts, process the things that you're going through, and have time to unwind and do the things that you enjoy.
Yeah.
And even if you're like living with someone, even if you've got like a partner, like you said a short while ago, you can cohabit and still have your own space, your own breathing space, your own activities, and just exist and not have to talk 24/7.
And I think it's just very important that you communicate that. Like, you know, when you say to someone, like, for instance, you get home, your significant other or person you're living with is there, and they're like, oh, hey, how's your day been? And you're just kind of like, walk away.
And you don't mean it in a bad way. It's just like you just need that 5 minutes to decompress.
It's kind of like you've got to be able to go, had a rough day, give me 5 minutes. And then you can come back and be like, here's why I've had a rough day, stuff like that. Like, I think it's just really key on explaining to people that you need your own space. For however long it will be. And just having your own space.
And just chilling out.
God,
So that's our word of encouragement, to just take 5 minutes for yourself, even if it's after you finish listening to this podcast, just sit for 5 minutes with your thoughts. Just enjoy the space, enjoy the time, and take a break from busy life, because you never know, a few minutes can make a world of difference.
Realise that you have so much potential, and that these 5 minutes of you expelling your stress can lead to 5 years of greatness.
Love that. So thank you guys so much for watching this episode of the Way It Goes podcast. Again, we appreciate your support greatly. We really appreciate the comments, the likes, the subscriptions, the follows, the positive reviews, everything. It's really great that you guys are really enjoying this stuff.
Please keep letting us know what you think, and don't be afraid to be too critical, because we want to make this good. We want to make this as good as we can. So, you know,
100%.
Let us know what we can do better, what we can do to improve. And as from last episode, would you rathers?
Yeah,
please keep sending would you rathers.
Send in would you rathers, send in your dilemmas, send in topics that you want us to discuss. We appreciate every little bit of interaction. It's been such a great roller coaster so far. Just the first few episodes, the feedback, it's been wonderful. We appreciate you all for listening. So with that, thank you guys so much. We will see you next Monday at 5 a.m. on The Way It Goes.